Final hour overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Jamie Noodles McLennan will catch up with Stu Johnston, the new commissioner of the CFL.
Oh,
about a half an hour. Catch up with Stu.
Grill him.
Oh, this will be a grilling.
Now that he's not our boss.
Yeah, exactly. He's been the man at TSN for a long time.
You can just lean. Well, you can't.
We'll just lean into him. Just make it very uncomfortable.
Just for no reason. Like, he's such a wonderful boss. Like,
yeah, he's a great guy.
But if you just lean into him for no reason, he'd be like, where'd this come from?
Sorry, Stu. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Just start grilling him. No, it'll be good to catch up with Stu. We'll get his take on, taking the job. It's a big deal. It's a big job. The Canadian Football League's in a really good place. And now it's his responsibility to take it into a new era.
Well, I didn't know this about him, and I should have. But, when people are your boss, you dig into their personal life a little bit. Not really. But when he decided to leave, our boss, Sean Redmond, was talking about how he's been the biggest football guy his whole life. I did not know that.
Mr. Football, yeah.
Yeah. So this is like a dream job for him. I always envisioned he was multi-sports guys, but apparently, like, the CFL was like his diehard league. Like, he loved
the big league. Passion for him.
Exactly.
And that's why it's a dream job. It's a great job, and we're excited for him and for the league, and we'll catch up with him in about a half an hour. Presuming I'm still going to be able to talk at that point, I am starting to sweat.
I didn't realize. Well, you said this to me.
I made a massive mistake.
4 seconds before we go on, you go, hey, I didn't realize there was sauce on the wings. You thought it was that Doogie was dipping it into the heavy sauce.
Yeah, so Boston Pizza came in here with a big food drop ahead of Game 3. We got all these games tonight, and everyone's jacked up. You get the NFL draft, too.
Yes.
I mean, that's when you think pizza and wings, you think football, you think the Stanley Cup playoffs, you think Boston Pizza.
Yeah.
And they have this new Atomic Hot Streaker sauce. And they had cups of sauce that Doogie was dipping wings into. I went out for a drive-by thinking mild wing, you have to apply the sauce.
Yes.
So I pick up the wing and I bite into it, and immediately I realize I have made a massive mistake.
What are you supposed to do when you have, like, you're just supposed to drink milk or something? Isn't it something that there's...
but I can't drink milk.
No, I'm saying, but is there an anti... when
I
somebody
think
gets
milk
bad...
is part of it. I think, was it Harry and Lloyd that were using the mustard and ketchup containers?
Yeah, like there's just... I feel like there is an anti-wing, if it gets too hot, there's a serum.
Yes. I started mashing, like there's celery in there. I started eating that, drinking a lot of water, but I'm starting to sweat it out here. But it is a phenomenal sauce. I will say that. If you're into spice and you're into, supporting Canadian hockey, you got to get after it at Boston
BP
Pizza.
is my
my
Fridays.
tonight.
That's our go-to. So I've
push it up to a Thursday. Get after it tonight.
Well, I'm going to, but then tomorrow, when the kids are like, hey, are we getting I'm going to have to double down. So that's the thing. I'll go a pasta or something from there. The kids can have pizza. I'll have to do something else.
All right.
They got a great lasagna.
There's a lot of options. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. Pierre LeBrun's coming up here in just a minute. Pierre's been traveling with his Colorado-Dallas series. So he was there last night for Gabriel Landeskog coming out. Didn't they, I think he did a bit of a rookie lap. I believe he did, which is really cool for the captain of the team.
Well, they ran a board last night, and it was, look at the emotion
There's
on his
wife
family.
with his kids.
Amazing. It's such a...
He had a great comment after the game where he said his kids probably think he's been lying that he actually plays hockey.
Yeah, I used to play there. No, knock it off, Dad.
Yeah, you did. Oh, yeah,
Uncle
you're the
Rico.
captain of the Avalanche.
Yeah, Uncle Rico could throw that football over a mountain like he... Yeah. But the best part about it is, like... It's post-war. Was it? There's only 2 captains that have missed.
Still Apps. And
I can't remember who the other guy was. It was Still Apps and somebody else.
Yeah, Sid Abel or something like that.
And those guys missed because of wars.
Right. They were literally in Europe for 1,000 days.
And he's, because of and it was a freak injury. That's the crazy part. It was Makar that injured him, that cut him for the initial injury. But you know what? It's a great story. I couldn't choose. I thought that's a coin flip, whether it's Dallas or Colorado, because you can make a case for either one of them.
Well, I picked Dallas to win the Cup before the year, and then I just decided coming into the playoffs, I'm like, I'm going to stick with Dallas because I'm not going to flip now. But I have to be honest, I was very fearful. They were awful down the stretch.
Yeah,
Terrible.
they struggled. They lost 8 in a row, I believe.
8 in a row. Ottinger was not good.
Not a great
And then
spot,
Robertson gets hurt. Heiskanen doesn't return on time. I'm like, they're in big trouble. Then they get pumped in game 1.
Yeah.
And then for them to battle back and win game 2 game 2 went to overtime and game 3 to overtime. Yeah, Colin Blackwell. That's right. So back-to-back overtime winners for Dallas, and now they're up 2-1.
Yeah.
Here's our TSN hockey insider, Pierre LeBrun. Pierre, you were in the building last night in Colorado. I guess paint a picture for us in terms of the emotion of Landeskog out for the skate, and then just his introduction, his play. What was it like being there?
Yeah, it was goosebump time, honestly. It was, 30 years of doing this, probably a top 5 moment in my career to witness that. I talked to someone who has worked in the arena for like 40, ever since the Avs got to Denver, and he said that is the loudest he has ever heard the arena, including winning Stanley Cups, including all that. That is the loudest he's ever heard the crowd last night when they welcomed Landeskog back. And it was electric, but you could also feel the pure love that fans had for their captain. Listen, Landeskog has said it himself. No one's hiding from this. No one was sure this would ever happen. There were times in the darker times of his 3-year comeback that this looked like it may not happen. And for him to play last night and for the way the crowd reacted, it is absolutely one of the great moments that I'll always remember for sure.
Well, Pierre, the fact that Colorado doesn't get it done, though, I thought they were so brilliant in game 1. You knew Dallas was going to have a response, but, now all of a sudden Dallas is kind of calmed down a little bit. What are you seeing from Colorado? I know it was emotional, and both of those games could be coin flips. There was a 4-minute power play that they had a wide open net. They pretty much should have got it done. Was there some nerves, or was it just bad luck, or what are you seeing from that? Because, in my mind, Colorado should be up in this series.
Yeah, I'm with you, Noodles. So I'll tell you what I've seen so far here being in this series. Colorado was the better team for the opening 5 periods of this series. They were the better team for 5 periods. And then at the start of the 3rd period in game 2, and remember, if Colorado hangs on, they're up 3-2 in game 2 to start the 3rd. If they hang on to win that, they're coming home up 2-0. And as Pete DeBoer himself said after the game, we're not coming back from that. I was kind of surprised he said that after the game, but and I'll tell you what happened at the start of that period. Captain Jamie Benn of the Dallas Stars put the team on his shoulders, put the team on his back. His first couple of shifts, which didn't make the highlight reel, his first couple of shifts in that 3rd period on Monday night changed this series. He had a couple of rushes where he took the puck, ran over a couple of defenders and went right to the net, and Mackenzie Blackwood must have been happy that he put the brakes on at the last second. And that was it. The rest of the team fed off Jamie Benn from that moment on, and this has been a different series since. Now, Jared Bednar himself, after the game last night, said he was surprised that his team didn't get more juice out of the atmosphere and the emotion for their captain being back. And it's hard to predict how these things play out, but they really didn't. They were pretty flat in the first period. And then you mentioned it. They get a 4-minute power play and really only got a good look at the end when Lehkonen had a great A and just missed. But Bednar is not happy with his power play right now. That's got to change. That's a power play that's been among the best in the league for a long time, and so I think that will change. But I got to tell you guys, I heard you guys talking just before I came on. I polled 13 coaches/team executives before this series. 10 took Colorado, only 3 took Dallas. And I was surprised how lopsided that was. By the way, in the same group, 12 took Toronto, only 1 took Ottawa. We can get that later. But I was surprised how lopsided the Dallas-Colorado poll was, just because to me this is like a mini Stanley Cup in the first round.
Yeah.
Two great teams. But I think it spoke to Miro Heiskanen still being out, especially. Jason Robertson hurts to some degree, but they're so loaded up front. Wyatt Johnston's on a 3rd line right now, if you call it that. They're still very loaded up front. They're hanging on right now without Miro Heiskanen. Thomas Harley's playing out of his brains. Lyubushkin's playing too many minutes, but he's playing well. They need number 4 back for Dallas, but they're up 2-1.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been an incredible series so far. And I tweeted this last night. there is so little free ice in this series, guys. You know what it's like when you're watching Game 7 of a Cup final and it's like 0-0 forever, and you're waiting for that first mistake? That's what this series has been. Like, think about all the talent offensively on each roster right now. I'm telling you, there's not a lot of great A's to be had out there. They are grinding this out right from the outset of the playoffs, like the Stanley Cup's on the line.
With Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider. All right, Pierre, let me offer you up this hypothetical. Okay, you have the option to have an exclusive sit-down interview with one of these two coaches, and they have promised you 100% candor, 100% honesty in terms of how they're feeling and what they're seeing out of their team. Would you choose Kris Knoblauch, the head coach of the Oilers, or Marty St. Louis, the head coach of the Habs?
I think I would choose Kris Knoblauch because I think no matter – I saw some of the emotion post-game there. I saw the clips from Montreal. Like, come on. At the end of the day, regardless of how that series finished, they made the playoffs.
That was big for them.
Yeah, let's just be real about where Montreal is. This is all gravy for them. It sucks in the moment. They're competitors, but Kris Knoblauch all day. The Oilers are so fascinating to me right now. They've never had their team together all year, right? With injuries and everything else. It's like this moving target about what their roster should be like. The loss of Ekholm. I mean, we just talked about the loss of Heiskanen. Man, we knew Ekholm has been a great player for them, but boy, they can't defend without him, and it's really hurt them. But who would have predicted that they'd be losing the special teams battle? The Oilers. I mean, they feasted on special teams the last 3 years in the playoffs. So there's a lot going on there with Edmonton. And to answer your question, I think the truth serum Kris Knoblauch would be the most entertaining.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it would have to be, man, because it is shocking. They've given up 12 goals in 2 games in Edmonton, and they had that moral victory comeback in the third the other night, and then just completely flat again last night. And everyone looks at it, myself included. It's like, well, you got McDavid and Draisaitl, so you're fine. This is proof that this isn't the NBA, man. Like, you can have 2 great guys. You have 2 best players.
The thing is they've got RNH and Hyman. Like, they've got players like those guys have been quiet. Darnell Nurse makes $9 million. You would expect players to step up. Like, that's the difference. Like, I agree. People can say Stewart Skinner, and he needs to be better. And I would think that I would bet anything that Calvin Pickett's playing tomorrow, and rightfully so, for a change of atmosphere. But Evan Bouchard was an absolute beast in the playoffs last year. I don't know where his game has gone. Darnell Nurse, like, you're asking guys to punch above their weight a little bit farther down in the lineup. But, Evander Kane looked rusty a little bit last night. Frederick, same thing, because they're coming in. I mean, John Klingberg, I thought he was okay. I thought he looked decent.
He was all right.
Because he can pass
Dick
the puck.
Waltman's been a little...
But that's the thing. The point being is play to your capabilities. And then maybe you don't have to have those 2 guys try and go nuts every night. Now, Arvidsson gets a goal, which was a bonus for them. But then he literally turns it over, 5 minutes later?
Yeah.
And that's where it's like the timely saves. If Stuart Skinner bails them out there, that's 3-2. And you got a game. Curtains. 4-2, 5-2 curtains.
Over.
But, Noodles, and I agree with everything you said, but I think we're also all guilty of this. I know I am, especially when it comes to Canadian teams. We look at what's wrong with the team that's losing. We really give credit to who's up to nothing. And I got to say, I've had a couple of people for the playoffs said, watch out for L.A. No one's paying attention.
Yep.
They were about to play their best hockey they have in this rebuild. And, Clark and the young guys, the next wave has stepped up, and the old guys like Kopitar are still going. Darcy Kemper, what a trade where 2 teams went out, Dubois for Kemper. LA this is as good as they've looked since they won a cup.
No joke. And you know what? You're 100% right. And we actually said it in the last hour. As much as we're, kicking Edmonton in the junk, we're not looking at LA. Like, LA's a hell of a team. There's a reason why they finished above Edmonton. There's a reason why that they lost, 5-6 home games all season long? Like, that's they're a very strong team. They've got depth, they've got speed, they've got some bite, and they've got a good mix. They remind me a little bit of Dallas. They got the older guys, but the younger guys, the wave that have pushed through. The older guys are still doing it, but the Byfields and guys like that have pushed
Clark
through.
Scores last night.
Right. So you're right. As much as you're going, what's wrong with Edmonton? You should be going, what's right with LA? Like, give them their flowers as well.
Yeah, no question. And listen, it's their fourth year in a row playing Edmonton. And listen, I know how good the Oilers have been. They have the best player in the world, and another guy was top 5. But at some point in the league with this kind of parity, are you not pushing your luck that you're just going to keep being the same team every year? That's a good team. I mean, like, it just might be LA's turn. Like, they're not meant to be just a team that's a speed bump before you get to the second round every year. That's too good a team in LA.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's very valid. And listen, it hasn't been 4 years in a row consecutive, but the Battle of Ontario, it's this is the fifth incarnation of it, knowing what happened back in the early 2000s, where the Leafs won all 4 of those series, and now they're up 2-0 going into Ottawa tonight. You referenced the Habs, a moment ago, and I think that's a very sensible viewpoint. Again, from the outside looking in, that, hey, you barely got in, you're ahead of schedule, it's amazing, you're up against a beast in Washington. Do you have a similar viewpoint of Ottawa, that they're playing with house money, or do you see it differently for the Sens?
Hey, listen, the Leafs should win this series, but I think Ottawa, it's, again, going back to your truth serum question, Brian, I think they'd be a little disappointed at, their lack of discipline, their lack of execution at times in their first 2 games. Now, give them props. Like, they're down 2-0 and they forced overtime the other night. Like, that showed some moxie, right? But at the end of the day, even though the Leafs are favored, and again, in that poll I did, pretty much everyone picked the Leafs, I still think people expect Ottawa to give the Leafs a push in this series. And if this isn't a long series, I think there'll be a lot of disappointment there in Ottawa. Again, they're not supposed to win, but there are different ways in which you can lose a playoff series. And this is huge tonight. We'll see what the crowd looks like in terms of the mix of the white and blue and the Ottawa jerseys. But Ottawa, this can't be a sweep, because that will feel pretty empty, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm having people send me messages from outside of the rink saying it does not feel like your standard Sens Leafs game. Like, there's Leaf fans there, but what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is there is more Ottawa Senator fans than usual in this matchup.
Yeah, than a November or January.
But those are always big. They're Saturday night games. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and yes, it's different. Obviously, the pricing and all that kind of stuff. But this is big for the Sens. I agree. I mean, this is a massive moment. Like, you've been waiting for this for a long time. We've been having the Brady Tkachuk chat for years. Like, what's he going to look like in the playoffs?
Right.
He scored a goal the other night. I think he's been fine. I think Stützle's been fine. I like Jake Sanderson's game as it went on the other night. But that's the future. That's the core.
Right.
Yet I think you look at a guy like Claude Giroux, Hearst, Ontario, second most famous Hearst, Ontario alumni.
Is he the second most? I guess.
Pierre's number one.
Pierre's number
Absolutely.
one. Yeah,
Pierre's number one. Giroux's number 2.
No. I'm not even number 50.
Okay. But I think Giroux's got to have a big night. Like, they brought him in, veteran guy. I look at him, I'm like, he's got to do something tonight, man.
The thing, and before you jump in, Pierre, the thing with Claude is exactly what we've been talking about with Dallas and LA. He's the veteran guy that needs to be but he needs to be pushed down when the team pushes through. So, like, Greeny's giving him a chance there, top line, right wing, all of that type of stuff. But I would be shocked if Greeny doesn't find that Zetterlund more ice time and a better look. And it sounds like Zetterlund's going to be on the second line. He is moving him around. But that's where the game within the game is all about. If a guy doesn't have it that night, it's not like, hey, legacy player, you got to be here because it's our first home game in 7-8 years. It's like, if you're not bringing it, somebody else has to go there. David Perron, I saw, is on the 4th line. Perron was on the second line left wing, and you know what? He's been heavy along the wall, but he hasn't been super noticeable. So, hey, let's try and move some guys around. You've got to be creative to try and combat a Leafs lineup that, we thought Craig Berube was going to go with the same lineup, but it's Max Pacioretty in for Robertson because he's looking for something a little different on the road. So this is the game within the game, the adjustments. As much as we love Claude Giroux, if he doesn't produce, it's somebody else that has to push him down the lineup to try and do that.
Well, I predict a pretty important moment for Claude Giroux tonight. I know I'm unbiased when I say that.
Well, I love the guy too.
But, and conversations I've had with Claude over the years, remember why he signed in Ottawa? It wasn't just to go back to what has become his off-season hometown over the years. He moved to Ottawa when he was 14 from Hearst. It's also because he truly felt that Ottawa was going to be, that they were arcing in the direction of being that team that was going to make the playoffs. And the reality is it didn't happen as quickly, I think, as he probably would have wanted, or Brady Tkachuk or anyone else in that team. But now they're finally here. So this is huge. This is why he signed a UFA deal on July 1st years ago to go to Ottawa, because he thought this moment was coming. So no question there. Now, I just want to say this about the Leafs. I know you guys would have touched on every single angle of the Leafs the last couple of days. But one thing that's playing out so far that I think everyone thought might be playing out is the poise of that team. And when Ottawa ties the 2-2 the other night in the third period, I don't know what went through your minds. That's the kind of moment in years past where this core has sometimes fumbled the ball, where they get agitated and start pressing. And I'm telling you, this team feels different. I'm not getting radioed, but I've been saying all year that I thought they were finally going to, maybe this team goes deep. They didn't flinch the other night. The rest of the game played out like they kept, believing the system, believing the next shift, just stay within yourself. Honestly, I've not seen that in back-to-back games from a Leafs team in the playoffs in a very long time.
I agree, and I think, you're referencing especially the reaction to the goal. I would argue the way even the goal happened, the build-up to the goal was very different because, in years past, it was like they're on their heels, 15 shots on net, goalie standing on his head. It's inevitable Ottawa's going to score. It did not feel inevitable Ottawa was going to score.
No.
It was literally their first shot of the period. Like the Leafs really controlled the play in the third or pushed things to the outside.
Now, I will say this. After that goal, the save on Dylan
Cousins was huge.
That's
less than 2 minutes to go.
That's a massive save because maybe, what you're pointing to, Pierre, and what you've been talking about, Brian, maybe in past years, that one goal that tied it all of a sudden leads to that's a loss because that puck goes in top shelf and Cousins picks it, and, hey, Ottawa finds a way to win that one. So it comes back to big save.
Yes.
Timely save, too, right? Like that.
Brad Marchand last year, remember he did that? He scored late, top shelf. And
top shelf,
really?
and that's curtains, right? Like
and
that's
over.
Stolars is part of that. He's part of that change. He's part of that poise.
That's.
He's outplaying Ullmark right now. And, and I just want to quickly bring up Chris Tanev because I'm here with Dallas in Colorado, and I don't know if you guys saw a couple of days ago, Pete DeBoer was asked by another reporter about the differences in this year's Colorado-Dallas series compared to a year ago when they played in the second round. And, he talked about a couple things, but he finally said, well, here's the big difference. We don't have Miro Heiskanen right now, and Chris Tanev's not here. Out of the blue, mentioned Chris Tanev. And I'll tell you why. Because, man, did they miss him. Chris Tanev fit like a glove here in Dallas after they picked him up last year. And he was unbelievable matchup guy in the first round against Jack Eichel, in the second round against Nathan McKinnon. You don't replace a Chris Tanev, and the Stars dearly miss him. And again, what's different about the Leafs this year? Chris Tanev this is why Brad Treliving brought this dude here. You're seeing it right now.
Absolutely. I'm on Wikipedia right now. Hearst, Ontario. Notable people: Reginald Belair.
Don't know Reggie.
Renee Fontaine.
Former mayor.
There you go, politician. Eric Sorensen, journalist. Claude Giroux.
Oh.
Pierre LeBrun.
Love it.
Whatever.
Pierre, you're in there. Notable people from Hearst, Ontario. Everyone knows
it. You wrote me in. That's what happened. You just wrote me in while we were on air.
Yes, I did. I do have that ability to do that. With Wikipedia, you can't edit on the fly.
We had one of our viewers do it.
But you're in there, buddy. You're in there. Good catching up with you. We'll do it again soon.
Right on, boys.
There he is. You got it. Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider, who will be watching the NFL Draft tonight, of course, as well.
See if the Cowboys do anything.
Let's see if those Cowboys get up to anything
Jones.
tonight. Old Jerry Jones.
Right in the thick of things. How old is Jerry Jones?
Well, he's 80 now, I think. He's got to be 80, or he's high 70s or 82.
So
Yeah,
I
he's
thought
82.
about this.
They picked 12th tonight, for the record.
Lou Lamoriello gets his contract not renewed the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lou's like 82 years old.
Yes.
Like, that guy has worked probably since he was 20 years old.
Yeah.
In hockey. It'll be weird for him not going to the rink.
Yes.
Because that guy lives at the rink. Like, that's it's just a
Someone
weird.
will pick him up as a consultant.
Absolutely, and they should. He's
Yeah.
he's a brilliant mind, and some people don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but he's 82 years old.
Yeah.
I think he would be a one. You know who should pick him up as a consultant? The Buffalo Sabres.
Not a bad idea.
Help Kevin Adams out, turn that situation around.
Yeah.
Just another.
Kevin Adams probably wouldn't want that because it's like, does that mean Lou's coming in next?
Yeah, but it's a smart hockey mind who's
I
seen
agree
and
with you.
done it all.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Someone will pick Lou up, though,
Yeah.
for sure. If he wants to do it, you'd think he'd be like, maybe I'll go down to Florida and just hang out.
I don't think that guy's wired that way.
I don't think he is either. All right, the new commissioner of the CFL, Stu Johnston, coming up. We'll get to our best bets later in the hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, we'll get to our best bets, powered by FanDuel later in the hour. Little same-game parlay for the Leafs. Battle of Ontario tonight, Leafs Sens. And again, people are sending in picks outside of the arena, but right now it looks like a lot of Ottawa Senator fans, which is what you expect. It's a home game for them.
But like I say, it's more for us to worry about, and talk about, because it's a great topic. But it might be 70-30, it might be 80-20, but in the end, that market has been dying for playoff hockey for 8 years.
Yes.
I think there's probably diehard season ticket holders who are like,
I cannot miss tonight.
We're keeping our tickets.
Have to be a part of it tonight. Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll get to that. We got the NFL draft tonight on TSN. I love night one of the NFL draft. It's going to be great. And that means we're getting closer and closer. Once you get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, baseball's back. You get the NBA playoffs. That means the Canadian Football League right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
Right around. They
got a new commissioner.
They do. I mean, are we bringing the heat or not? Do we not bring the heat for our former boss?
Do we just start grilling Stu Johnston?
Larry King
just
to death?
Immediately make it uncomfortable. There he is, the new commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stewart Johnston. Stu, congrats. Thank you for doing this. How are we feeling this afternoon?
Hey, fellas, I'm doing great, and I just say bring it on.
See what we got for you here. We've been prepping for a while. It's great to have you.
You've only been waiting for years for this opportunity.
Exactly. Do you remember when we met a decade ago? And I don't think the audience really cares that much about it. But anyway, it's I saw your introductory press conference today, and I saw you last week in person when you were still here. And Noodles was referencing your passion for football. But take us through this. Like, this is a big gig, man. You're the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. What was so appealing about this, and why did you pounce on it?
Well, it is a big gig, and it all still feels, even after today, a little surreal. Obviously, growing up, spending more than half my life with you guys and with Bell Media and TSN, that was a big move, and it took something pretty special for me to think about making that move. Noodles, you mentioned my passion for football. It probably starts there. I like you guys. I love all sport. I wish we were doing this interview on the golf course.
Yes.
But the passion for football has been there since I was a kid. And then I think the league's in a really good spot. There are a lot of great metrics that are showing growth and momentum. So I feel like there's excellent, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the league, and yet I think there's a lot of growth left with the CFL. And part of that is really the ownership group, guys. Like we've all been around the CFL for a long time. There's been a mix of great owners in there, but to have 9 really strong ownership groups all at once, I think that was a big part of the appeal as well.
Well, in terms of growth, we've had this conversation on our show a lot with every league, where you have your diehard long-term fans that love the sport the way it is right now. They're protective of the sport, they're protective of the history, but at the same time, you've got them. They're in. They're going to be a part of this ride for a long, long time. How do you marry, like, respecting the history, respecting the diehard fan, with maybe doing things different or having a bit of a different vision to bring in new fans? How do you marry the two?
Well, I think you do it with a lot of thoughtfulness. You do it iteratively. It's continuous improvement. It's not wholesale change. You do it with a lot of communication. I'm looking forward to a lot of communication with GMs, with team presidents, with owners, with the league office, with fans, and with players. And then you want to take that input and you understand kind of where, what will it take to kind of push this forward and create more interest. So as you think about, kind of changes to the game itself, look, I love Canadian football, and I'm telling you, in 2025, the Rouge is here to stay.
Yes.
But I think that we've got to think about entertainment. Constantly improve the entertainment value of the product we're putting out there. We know we have the players. What is it going to continue to make it entertaining? And this comes from my time with you guys. It is, how do we get that content into the right hands? So how do you expose it to folks that may actually like football, but they don't know it yet? And of course, a lot of that is about the younger viewers. And ultimately, guys, I know you've got kids. My daughter played her first flag football game, grade 9, all girls, and loved it. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer that if we could just get kids playing football, touching football, learning the basics, you're going to find people are going to fall in love with the game, and that can only help with the fan base.
So taking over, you have a unique skill set because you know the broadcasting game. You were just talking about the entertainment. I mean, this is where you're coming from. Is that where you feel like your strength is? You can step into the league and go, hey, I've been on the other side here and had the rights deals and done a lot to sell the game. So now you're running the league, you know the other side. Is this kind of where you can marry the two and help grow the game?
Yeah, Jamie, I think so. I think that's, my comfort zone is certainly anything related to the media business, where that's negotiating rights deals to driving distribution strategies of content, and then ultimately the second piece, Jamie, is revenue. I've been leading the ad sales team for the last 8 years across all Bell Media platforms, led the distribution revenue team. I think every business wants to improve their bottom line through top line growth as opposed to cost cutting. And that's where I want to come in and try and help this team push us forward across all the different commercial avenues where we can grow revenue. But I've got some weak spots. I've got some gaps. I've got a learning curve on football operations. As much as you and I and we all love football, like, football operations is a complicated beast. And so there's areas where I need to make sure I'm listening, learning, actively studying, and eventually participating.
With Stu Johnston, the new commissioner of the Canadian Football League, and that'll happen quickly. I mean, something's going to happen likely in the preseason, certainly into the regular season, where you're going to have to be judge, jury, and maybe executioner. I don't know if it'll ever get that far, Stu, but the commissioner, from a fan perspective, you're talking about the money and the profitability and growing the game, and obviously fans can benefit from that. But they're going to see their quarterback get hit in the head and say, what's the commissioner going to do on that? Like, where do you stand on your role in taking on that role? That's something very different. I mean, you're going to have to possibly suspend players and find coaches. And, like, how do you prepare for that?
Well, you're absolutely right, Bryan. The good news for me is that we have an outstanding operations team already. And within that, there are very clear protocols and guidelines. Basically, almost every play you can think of, illegal / legal / suspension worthy, fine worthy, is actually all documented, and there is a process. And so I think, as I'm going to lean heavily on the operations team, but I also want to bring my own judgment. And so, this discipline, you've seen in other leagues, disciplines carried out in various ways. We're going to land on the right way to launch our discipline program. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with me, especially on anything that's egregious. And I can tell you, protecting star players is an absolute priority. If we want to have the most entertaining product on the field, protecting our players and having them continue to play is incredibly important. So that gives you a glimpse of kind of my mindset.
With Stu Johnston, the new commissioner of the Canadian Football League, you were introduced today, the same day as night one, round one of the NFL draft tonight. As you know, at TSN, we have CFL, NFL, anything football, it's on TSN. I'm curious your approach, because when you're in your previous job, you understood the importance of the NFL, the popularity of the NFL. How do you look at it in the chair that you're in now? Is the NFL a competitor with you? Do you appreciate the growth of the NFL? Because then that means ostensibly you would believe the growth of football is there, like we were talking about a few moments ago. Any way you can get people into loving the sport. Is that a viewpoint of the CFL? Take us through your viewpoint of the NFL, its popularity, specifically in the greater Toronto area, but throughout the country, and how it factors into how the CFL looks at it.
Well, I'll start and say your last point is a starting point for me. Mm-hmm. Anything that drives the interest and fandom in the game of football of any kind, I'm in favor of. I think passionate football players and passionate football fans will not be forced to choose which brand of that football that they want to watch. It's open for business for everyone. We have, I think, the NFL is the biggest sports league in the world. And I have great relationships with many players, many of the corporate folks and the execs at the NFL. And it's my belief that we should have a strong relationship with the NFL. Doesn't mean a partnership necessarily, but a great relationship. Lines of communication can only help. We actually are trying to achieve the same thing, which is the growth of the sport. And I know at an operational level, our officiating operations crew, great, really strong relationship with the NFL. I think that's important. I don't see them really, to answer your question maybe more succinctly, Brian, I don't see the NFL as competitors. I see them as having similar objectives as we do.
Just amazing. Before we get you out of here, I mean, do you envision yourself at some point, because of where you've come from, are you going to storm into the production, truck or into production and get after Eddie about something that he ran, maybe a bad viz on a team or something like that? Is the old Stu Johnston potentially coming out from the TSN side, or you just have to keep it professional on the other side?
Oh, I'm going to be a bigger ogre than I ever have been. It's on speed dial into the truck. I see anything I don't like. So no, the crew that we have. You mentioned Eddie. I'm sorry for the inside names for your listeners,
Chris
but
Edwards.
Eddie and Heinze and they're just. I've talked about this a little bit throughout the day in a number of other calls where I've said this is not only a world-class professional production crew, but they could not be more passionate about this league. And that is really what I think TSN and RDS have brought to the CFL for so many years. And I think they would tell you, I haven't had to call them hardly at all.
Well, that's a good sign. And we haven't got to games yet, so we'll hold you to that once we get there. And the Grey Cup is in Winnipeg this year. You'll have to work this Grey Cup week, Stu, because I'm sure you've been doing it for a long time. And TSN, they get out there and they have a good time. We put on a good show.
Maybe you can bring in the harmonicas from L.A.
That's right. Maybe you can lean into the
anthems.
harmonicas for the maybe for the anthem. That would be big.
I like the ideas.
Yes.
I like the ideas.
All right, we're going to have a lot for you. But we're obviously really happy for you, and we couldn't thank you personally, us on this show, for all the support over the years. And we'll continue to do this down the road. So good luck with the new gig.
Same to you guys. It's been a pleasure working with you all these years, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch like this.
Absolutely. There he is, Stewart Johnston, the new commissioner of the Canadian Football League. And he really is. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. We'll miss him dearly here at TSN, but CFL's got a good one.
Yeah.
And, I'm curious, we'll see what comes of it. And he spoke earlier today. They get asked about expansion all the time. They have 9 teams. Would you like to get to 10? And Stu said, Sure, of course, they love to get to 10, but it's not a high priority. You got to have the right spot, the right ownership, the right market, the right stadium. There's a lot that goes into it.
Take care of the 9 first, and then continue to grow. And
exactly.
It's just technically, we'll call it first day on the job. You got to, he can say whatever he wants, but as he was mentioning, he's got to get in there and get his hands dirty and kind of understand the whole complex part of the business side of being the commissioner. So
it's going to happen quick.
Yeah.
But, he's going to add his name on the football. He'll be there with the Grey Cup. It's going to be a thing of beauty in Winnipeg this year, too.
Yeah.
And the Bombers are in the Grey Cup every single year. So
there was a Shorts guy out there. Remember?
I remember Shorts guy. He had been going to Blue Bomber games forever in between their Grey Cup droughts.
Yeah.
He said, I will not wear pants until they win a Grey Cup.
He was like a school teacher or something.
Yeah.
And we
for
had
like
him on the
30
show.
years or whatever. The guy was wearing shorts.
Minus
in
30.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, minus 30 out. He's wearing shorts.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Game 3 tonight. Leafs Sens. We'll tee that up. Jays are off tonight. They're in New York playing the Yankees starting tomorrow. We got NHL games. We got NBA playoff games. We got a lot. And, of course, night 1 of the NFL Draft on TSN tonight. We'll get to that as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Brady Tkachuk, 4+ shots. Nylander, 3+ shots. Austin Matthews, 1+ point. That parlay paying plus 300 tonight. Love that parlay. Those are your Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays. Now available for every Stanley Cup playoff game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+, physically located in Ontario. If you were on FanDuel and you bet Nate Schmidt would have 3 goals.
Is that leading the playoffs? It might be.
He scored 2 in Game 1, and he's already scored in this Panther Lightning game.
Tied for the league. Somebody else has to have 3. But, I mean...
Tavares got 2. Anyone on LA? Byfield's got 2, I believe.
Yeah, but
Kuzmenko's got 2.
There's somebody from that Colorado Dallas. There's been some big scores.
Nichushkin scored a couple.
Washington.
Ovi's got 2.
Yeah. McKinnon.
I don't know. I think Nate Schmidt's leading the league in goal scoring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. Or tied with it.
Shifley's got a couple. Connor's got a couple.
Yeah. Either way.
Anyway.
Nobody had that on the bingo card, put it that way.
No. I mean, if you told me, Shifley's got 2, Connor's got a couple, I'd say, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Tavares, Nate Schmidt with 3.
Defenseman who was kind of, I wouldn't say an afterthought, but he was a pickup where they lost Montour. And
Ekman Larson. He was the Ekman Larson replacement.
Yeah, basically. He's your number 5. So.
Boldy, McKinnon, and Kempe have 3.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Boldy, McKinnon, and Kempe.
Okay.
Wow.
And Nate Schmidt. Don't sell him short, JP. Include Nate Schmidt.
Well, the Panthers off to a quick start, though. Again, like I said.
What's up with your boy Vasi? I don't want to go Jonas Siegel on this, but Vasilevsky in the playoffs, man.
Well,
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, narratives change, right? Like Hellebuck looked good the other night.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is, let's see what Winnipeg has going on the road.
Yeah.
And I did read today that St. Louis was working on, in practice, a lot of screen plays because that's what Colorado did to Hellebuck last year.
Yeah.
Pucks in front of the net, finding lanes to get it down to the front of the net. So we'll see. See how it unfolds here.
Well, absolutely. And, tonight Max Pacioretty's going to be in the lineup.
Yep.
So he's making his debut for the Leafs in the playoffs. And this is a big one for Winnipeg and for Toronto tonight. Like, this is a chance for you to go up 3-0 in the first round when you think the other series is going to possibly be long and crazy.
Yeah.
We'll see with the Battle of Florida. I still think Tampa can come back and win this. Dallas, Colorado, that feels like it's going 7.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be a seesaw and lots of overtimes.
So if Winnipeg can get through in 4 or 5 and you put your feet up and let those 2 teams beat up on each other and you're at home, they got to travel up to Winnipeg, it's a big advantage to have.
It is.
And the Leafs are in the same spot.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't think this is going to be a sweep. I don't think either series will be a sweep. I think the Blues are going to win. I think Ottawa's going to win a game.
Pivotal game.
But it's got to be tonight.
Tonight's a pivotal game.
If you're Ottawa, it's mandatory. You've got to get a night tonight. And I think Ullmark, the pressure's on Ullmark, not to be perfect, but it may be 2-2 in the third, and you might have to make a big stop.
But that's the difference, is like you've got to win that battle.
Yeah.
Stolarz is 2-0 on that battle head-to-head. He's won that one.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the truth.
And Stolarz making his debut as a road goalie in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, there'll be lots of firsts
tonight.
So.
It'll be a fun one this evening.
Yeah.
Full breakdown tomorrow. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.